Hey, what's going on everybody? Mark Aiello here, coming back to you with another new video. I know it's been quite a while, I know, I'm sorry, but here I am. Welcome back, or welcoming myself back on YouTube, ready to give you some new content. So today's topic is going to be about shooting a music video on a shoestring budget. And if you shoot music videos quite often, or at least once in a while, it's likely that you'll have to deal with the responsibility of shooting a super stellar music video with little to no money. But nothing says that you can't still be creative and still come up with some really cool ideas for how you want to approach these projects. Because at the end of the day, music videos are a super fun, creative outlet, and they're one of the few types of videos I find that there are no rules. There are no restrictions or guidelines that you necessarily have to follow. It's all fun, anything goes. Let's get creative and have fun. So in my personal experience, I find that the best solution for this little dilemma is just keeping things minimal. Now I know that sounds generic, but really keep it minimal in every aspect, to the gear you're using, to maybe talent, to set, location, the edit, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Now, a lot of times I think what music video directors and videographers will do in these low budget scenarios is they'll just throw on a bunch of effects and little crazy visual flares and wackadoodle kind of stuff. I like to call it B-roll diarrhea or filmmaker diarrhea. And nothing against it, I'm not knocking the people that choose to make those creative decisions. But after a while, I think it becomes overkill and it's just not original. It's just, to me, I think it can be a real cop-out. So hopefully by walking through me on this project, you'll see that there are plenty of ways that you can still be creative and have fun and come up with some cool ideas while still being within that shoestring budget that you're in, and also not having to contrive anything too crazy or ridiculous. So this music video, like I said, I did quite a while ago. It was with my buddies Giancarlo and Dante Maglita for their band Verona Rose. Check them out, by the way. They just released their first EP on Spotify, and they are currently working on their first full-length studio album and are looking to book some shows finally, so keep an eye on that. But this music video is for their song Ghost 3 AM. A good poppy rock and roll song. It's pretty short in length, believe it or not. In terms of the lyrics, it's kind of a spooky song, but the sound is pretty, I guess you would say, melodic and poppy. So I wanted to come up with something visually that was in tune with that, something that has a lot of flair and surreal imagery to it that's maybe unsettling to the audience, but also, I guess, a bit more upbeat, if that makes sense. Before I go any further, I do need to give a big, huge shout out and thank you to my buddy Noah Arnold at Cyan Lens Media. He was so gracious enough to let us use his studio for free, with the exchange of maybe just giving him a shout out on social media or on YouTube like I'm doing right now. So thank you so much, Noah. His space was very perfect and ideal for what we needed. So the idea that I came up with to work with all the elements that I just previously described was to do a rear projection for this piece. Rear projection is something that I've always kind of thought was pretty cool, yet it also is very simplistic, it's very easy to set up, and it acts as a good key light source depending on maybe the vibe you're going for. Maybe you decide to throw in a key light, but for what I was going for, I found that all I needed was the rear projection. So I knocked out lighting right out of the way, right out of the gate. That's all I needed. Basically what I did was I just went into Resolve, and I think I drew out like a white X over a black screen and just sort of created a rotating effect on it and just sort of looped it a few times, and then I grabbed an overlay that I found on Storyblocks. Shout out to Storyblocks, I'm not sponsored by them, but just threw that on there. Once again, the theme, and you'll be hearing me talk about this throughout the rest of the video, is keeping it minimal and simplistic. Now on that note, for gear, all I was using was my Sony FX3, which I'm shooting on right now, and my Sigma 35mm f1.4, which I'm also shooting on right now. And then my DJI Ronin S2, Noah actually helped me out with this as well. I can't remember if we used an RE light or something. We use it for this beginning sequence we see, the intro of the song. We have a sort of a backlight on Giancarlo creating a silhouette effect. And other than that, that was it for lighting. On that note too of doing everything on location, I also thought it would be appropriate to use fog. And I've never really used fog, at least on my own projects. This is the first time I was really messing around with that. And what a huge difference it makes. Just by using something like that, just by throwing fog in, it can really take what you're going for especially in a project like this, something that is heavily creative and visually driven, and just by using fog, you just kind of can amplify that with just that subtle effect. So that was really instrumental, I think, to accomplish visually what I was looking for. Now, I'm not generally one to shot list, but I thought it was at least helpful because I can be forgetful. So I had to just keep a note in my phone of just all the particular shots that I needed. But at the very least, you should definitely keep some sort of note of all the shots you're gonna get, just so that way you don't miss anything. And of course, give yourself some time and some room to work with any other shots that you may come up with spontaneously, because you never know what you might come up with in the moment. So at this point, it's all actually going very streamlined because, like I said, I didn't throw too much on my plate and what I wanted to accomplish. The one thing though, very challenging, is when you're shooting this on your own, is not only do you need to be mindful of the shots, but you need to act as a director and you need to be mindful of the performance. So that was a bit tricky that I had to kind of wear both of those hats, so to speak. The other thing I forgot to mention that was challenging here was we didn't have much of a good stereo sound system. The band, they weren't really able to hear the recorded song, the track, so they had to memorize it and play it live, which I guess is great on their part, good practice, but it's definitely a bit harder when it comes to editing to get everything in sync. Now on that note, let's get into editing. So we just wrapped up principal photography. We had a great shoot day. We got everything we needed. Now it's time to edit. Now, editing music videos, particularly performance-based, solely performance-based videos, can be a real pain in the assembly cut line. I would say it's the hardest part. It was certainly the hardest part here. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, that since I wasn't able to focus too much on performance and we didn't have a recorded song playing, we just were relying on the band to play live, it was pretty difficult to sync up and match what we were seeing as opposed to what we were hearing in the finished song. Once again though, back to my recurring theme and main point of keeping things minimal and simplistic here, I just wanted to keep the edit very simple. After going through the assembly, all I really wanted to do was just compile all these best shots that I had, and once again, not do any editing work, because all the effects, all the visual flair that we need to see and want to create, we've already created on set through the rear projection and the fog. That's really about it. That's all you really need. And I think when you try to throw too much at the viewer visually and sonically, again, it creates like I call it, diarrhea effect, and it's kind of just, you don't really immerse them into what they're seeing. After assembling and cutting, all I really had to do for editing really was a color grade and some sort of fine tuning on scaling. So yeah, it's all pretty streamlined from there. Again, I just wanted to put all the emphasis in the cinematography, again, keep it minimal, and I think the key takeaway here is just hustle on the planning. Now, reflecting on this piece as a whole, looking back, what maybe I would have done differently, again, I kind of already mentioned it, but one, I would have figured out a way to have the song playing on the set so that way the band can hear it and they weren't trying to have to memorize it live and try and mentally be on sync with where the song really is, because there were some errors there that you can't really quite fix in post, at least not as easily. And the other thing is, the main thing is, I wish I could focus more on performance But then again, you do need to focus on the cinematography. So doing this as a one-man band is quite difficult. Now that I think of it, this could have been a great video for how to shoot a music video by yourself. But yeah, so juggling between that DP and director role, it can be pretty dicey, and I wouldn't recommend it now where I'm trying to go in my career and the projects that I want to take on. I think everything works better when I just have one role to stick to, and any other role I can give to somebody else. All in all, looking back, I'm still very proud of this piece. I thought it was a great project. Came out exactly how I wanted, which is great. The band loved it, I loved it, the audience loved it, it was amazing. So I hope you enjoy this piece. I will leave a link for it in the description so you can watch the whole video. And that is going to conclude it for this video. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you found this video useful. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the like button, comment if you wish. All the engagement is great. Looking forward to seeing you all in the next video. Take care. God bless.